Noon on Tuesday, January 14th. This is the Montgomery County Municipal Utility District Number 60 Board of Directors meeting. Welcome to all. Roll call vote here. Director Bill Freibel.
Here.
Director Bob Lux is here. Director Donna McAleer.
Here.
Director Paul Shu.
Here.
Director Paul Dale Walker.
Here.
Good afternoon, all. Welcome. We have a
Yes.
gentleman wishes to address the board.
Seen it.
Well, yeah.
Yes, you're a return visitor. I recognize the face. Nice to see you again, sir.
I see y'all and I was here about, I think it was in October or something, about 3 months ago about the smell of the wastewater treatment plant number 2. Well, Chris is not here today, I don't think.
He'll be here. I'm
Um,
quite confident. There's no.
yeah, but that's fine.
Good.
For a while, the odor stopped. The times that we went to the recycling center, normally Saturdays or mornings or Wednesday evenings, afternoon, it was good. But it started to come back.
When did it start?
That was the last month and a half, somewhere in the middle of December to now. And we go there Wednesdays and Saturdays normally to recycle our yard waste. It's not as bad as it used to be. So yeah, I'm not complaining. There have been some improvements. Somebody from San Jacinto called me in November that was out of town. On a schedule that was the plant and so forth, but we couldn't coordinate, so I'm going to be working with them on that. I just wanted to bring to your attention that there's still maybe some issues. But something was done. And I guess we Chris talked to somebody and they went, oops. And now it's kind of falling back, or maybe some other problem coming in the facility. I mean, mechanical stuff breaks. So,
Did you ever get a chance to participate in the facility tour? I know that they.
no, we couldn't schedule. That's when they called me
Still doing that?
to do that. And I was in Miami at that time.
Better place.
I came back. We're visiting with some relatives that were vacationing there. And I called the phone number back and we're kind of playing phone tag. So yeah, I'm gonna get with Chris later on.
I'm sorry he isn't here. We'll pass it along for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
We got a little bit out of order. We'll jump back to agenda item number 2.
I believe.
No, that's what we're about to do. The moment of reflection and the invocation and the pledges of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we come to you today as an assembled body. We humbly request that you bless our meeting, our community, and our nation. Help us to work always diligently for the common good and in the best interest of those we have been elected to represent. Guide us to be insightful and prudent in our intentions, visions, plans, deliberations, decisions, and their fulfillment. Work through us to provide a spirit of welcome to all in attendance, to engage in respectful and thoughtful dialogue and discussion with understanding, wisdom, and humility. Amen. If you wish, prior to reciting the pledges of allegiance, please take an additional moment of silent prayer or reflection in the manner of your preference. Thank you. Pledge of allegiance to the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Thank you. Very good. We can now go to I don't see, Miss Wright here. Eric, do you have any, adjustments from, the district?
Do not.
No, you don't either. Thank you, Jeannie.
Kim's right over there.
Oh, she is. Oh, there, you're right behind Katie. It's not easy to do.
He snuck in.
Okay, now to the consent agenda, which is rather lengthy this time. It's all agenda items 5 through 12. Um, We didn't meet in December, which added to a little bit of that. Goes all the way through 26 plus, I guess. Everybody's reviewed that.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
My only,
Questions?
my only thing would be on number 9. I see that's primarily to cover attorney costs, right? On the resolution authorizing an additional penalty.
Is there business, personal property?
Yeah, pages 24 and
Yeah.
25.
Okay.
That covers your delinquent tax collection attorney.
Okay.
So it actually isn't Schwartz, Page and Harding. It's I'm not sure.
Purdue Brandon.
Purdue Brandon.
Okay.
And so they collect on y'all's behalf. They file suits and all that.
An additional penalty. Well, is that also, is that something new, that additional 20%?
So it's been into effect for years.
Okay. Other questions, comments? Okay, that's very good. I have no further questions anyway. Dale, you good? Donna? Very good, okay. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Very good. Okay, so that brings us to agenda item 13. Review and consider the district's fiscal year 23-24 draft audit report. John, please, Mr. Knox.
Start with an apology. We didn't get the director information updated in the draft that you've been looking at, but that is the information that will be in the final report if anybody wanted to see it. And I thought I'd cover just the basic components of this report and then open up the question. Pages 1 and 2 is our opinion. It's very lengthy, but it's unqualified. That's what we're looking for. Pages 3 through 8 is what we call management discussion and analysis. It's the district's opportunity to highlight something or whatever they want to say. We have kind of a boilerplate setup that we include with all our MUDs, but if we did want to make any mention, it's important. If the board had anything they'd like to add, we can certainly do that. Pages 10 through 12, 13, those are the financial statements. The first 2 columns that you see are the numbers that you see every month. And then we convert it into what they call GASB 34, which is kind of it brings the MUD from a fund type of accounting to more of a proprietary type of accounting. So we've been doing that since 2005. It's been a while, been going on for a while. 15 through 20 something, 30 something, 32, are the notes to the financial statements, which just kind of back up the what we present those notes to the financials. 34 is your budget to actual that we present. That's required supplementary information. And then beginning from 36 to 49, that's what we call technical supplementary information. It's not required, but it is required by the TCEQ. And so we include it there. Just about every MUD report in the state of Texas is going to look just like this. Different numbers, obviously, different notes, but It's a very prescribed format, almost like a tax return. And we'll get that TSI 8, the board member interaction, we'll get that updated for the final report. The draft. That, I'll open it up to questions. Let me preface by saying that what we'd like today is approval contingent upon any changes that your attorney may have, that we may find, or that y'all may find. We've got a couple of weeks before we can finalize this report, and then we'll get it to the attorney, who will file it with PCEQ. It's due mid-February for the PCEQ.
Very good. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments regarding further questions for John regarding this? I've reviewed it. I didn't see anything that was that I had questions on, John, so give you a minute to review it if you haven't had an earlier chance.
And Brian and I are reviewing as well.
You good, Dale? Good. Thank you.
So far,
Good.
yes.
Bill?
Thank you.
Okay, for that consideration, I guess we will consider it approved, as John had earlier mentioned,
Any minor changes?
subject to minor changes,
Yeah.
so forth and so
Y'all have
on.
it.
So
Feel free if you.
we need to have a motion for this.
Misspelled or something, just feel free to email me, we'll get it.
Hey, did we need a motion for that or just an
Well,
understanding?
just a motion to approve it, subject to comments from the board or consultants.
Okay. I want to make that motion. If you don't, I will, and seek a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve, give a considered approval to the report, to the annual draft report based upon additional review by attorneys and others. Very good. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, abstain, motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, we're gonna change things around a little bit because of a couple of conflicts, and to just group it a little cleaner, we're gonna move agenda items 19 and 20 up to follow number 14.
okay.
So we'll go from 14 to 19 to 20, then back to 15 and so forth. So the first one is Katie and Jeannie for granting exemptions for the 2025 adoption of the resolution herein concerning exemptions and so forth. And I guess now would be the time, should we want to change any of the exemptions, especially those they're shown on 29
Okay.
of our meeting packet.
Yeah, so the tax code allows for y'all as a MUD to grant an exemption for individuals who are over 65 or disabled, and then also a homestead exemption for people who own their homes within the district. So on page 29, you can see that for tax year 2024, y'all offered $31,000 for over 65 or disabled, and then a 20% residential homestead. If y'all want to keep them the same, we can. We have the draft resolution on pages 27. So you can see what it'll look like, but we went ahead and filled in the 20% homestead because that's actually the maximum.
Maximum.
of the offer.
Right.
So assuming you want to keep that the same, you would just need to decide if you want to change the over 65 or disabled exemption.
I see that MUD 47 went to 35,000. Are we allowed to go higher? What's our maximum on that?
There's actually not a maximum, so you
Really?
can go higher. If you were to, you know, depending on what increase you're thinking about, we would probably want to defer the decision and have your financial advisor prepare a, you know, a little spreadsheet for you and come to the next meeting. So I would think that y'all could increase it by a few $1,000s. It's usually hard to do a big jump.
Be a bit of an impact. It has been in the past when we went up last year to this.
It didn't
It
change.
there was a change, of course, a slight change, but not much.
Yeah, any increase on that side would raise the tax bill for the rest of the customers slightly.
Well, I do know the appraisals have gone up astronomically, so I think that I would like to see an exemption increase. Maybe to 35,000
And that,
Yeah.
I have no objection to that.
Just, the only issue would be, like you said, it would raise taxes on everybody else. So anyone who doesn't qualify for the 65 or disabled, right, that's below 65, their taxes would go up.
Well, I see that we had an increase in revenue. When we did just went over the draft of the audit,
Mhm.
and we're actually stronger financially than we were in 2023.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, you're only allowed to raise your revenue because of legislation above 3.5% for the prior year if you're developed. So that was capped at 3.5%.
right, and we're fairly developed, this MUD. I think we are.
Yes, that is good.
There's no place else to
Or
go.
you aren't yet.
And so y'all are definitely allowed to raise the exemption if you'd like. It's just a question of, you know, if you can afford to do it. So if you want, we can ask the financial advisor to prepare some options.
I'd like to make a motion that the financial advisor assess what the impact would be of raising the exemption to 35,000 for over 65.
Yes,
Do you want to see any other increment?
they can show you some
That's
increments.
what I
would be good.
Just increments of
Yeah, that would be good.
$1,000.
Between 30, we're at 31 right now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And we've been financially sound with 31,000.
Maybe 33 and 35, just to give you a midpoint.
Sure. Medium and maximum.
I'll work with
yes. And they take into account that, you know, the limits of increasing your tax rate. So they'll prepare something that'll be helpful.
I'll second that motion.
Information that they need.
Okay.
How many chance you have at this point, and with the extra 5,000 times your rate's gonna be 4,000. You
Great.
know, if we go to 35.
Thank you.
Okay.
Since our discussion on it changes the others that don't qualify for this, can they also put in there how much that goes up on the other people's bills?
It may not have to. It depends on the impact.
That's true.
It may not have to at all.
That's true.
I'll ask them to look at it.
Because we were-
Because they do typically show the impact to your collections and then the savings that it would give someone who gets, you know, one or both exemptions. I'm not sure that I've seen them show the impact for someone who wouldn't get the exemptions. But we can ask.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion and a second. We will now engage in further discussion on this matter.
So I just, is this out of sync from our normal budgetary planning, from the standpoint of rate, going back to your question? Is it going to impact the other people that are under 65?
I don't think it really impacted it last year. From what I
Well,
remember.
I would say typically the entities most impacted are, you know, commercial that you may have in the district. And so districts that have a large amount of commercial can typically offer these exemptions. I have some districts that
Yeah.
have no commercial and they cannot afford to offer any exemptions at all.
Yeah.
For homestead or
That's what I
or
figured.
65 disabled. So y'all are really already offering, probably the highest I've seen in any of my districts, but yes, so these are, they do impact the people and the commercial entities that don't get the exemptions.
And I take Bob's point that it had, in the past, it had very little impact on those that
Very
don't meet
little.
the 65. So, okay, I had questions in this regard about this whole.
There will be an
Just 'cause it's
impact,
the
but
first time I've
it
seen it.
is minimal, or it has been in the past.
Now, I'm not sure, but aren't those are 65 and older disproportionately affected by having higher valued properties to begin with? Those that are retired and might have higher,
There is probably.
they tend to have, they tend to have the mansions, and the people that are 35 don't have the mansions.
Yeah,
That's
your
right.
tax rate is
That's
based
true, too.
on.
Yeah, it's just gonna
The
impact.
value of your home.
Rich. Watch out for washouts.
There's probably a correlation. I mean, the higher the value of the home, the higher the mud tax.
And usually it's the higher the age of the occupant.
Mhm.
Normally, not all the time, I know.
So we'll definitely reach out to the FA and get them to prepare some options for you, and then you can decide.
Yeah,
The
thank you.
thing you really want to be careful about is you never want to have to lower it.
After
You know,
you've already
because people
given it.
get used to
Everyone got
having
used
it.
to it,
Yeah.
right?
And so you don't want to, we usually recommend against doing a big jump that then you might not be able to keep up with.
To recover from, yeah.
Yeah, and especially because there are limits with how much you can increase the tax rates now, so,
Mhm.
um,
Very good. Further discussion?
No.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, abstain, motion passes. See you next month. Thank you. Okay, now we're going down to agenda item 19. Ms.
yeah,
Blasio.
well, thank y'all for working with me to move up 19 and 20. Brian had a conflict today when the first day of the month is on a Wednesday. These meetings are like a week earlier, and he has standing meetings, on these days. So he needed me to fill in today, and I have to get back to my nanny this afternoon, so I'll need to leave after my items shortly thereafter, but I don't have anything for you for the attorney's report today.
Agenda item 20.
Item 20, you can see on pages 55 through 59. We provided a summary of the EPA's regulation for PFAS. So they previously did not, there were no federal regulations for PFAS.
That's what I was gonna ask. There's nothing legally in any law that they are making their determination on, correct?
Well, now this is the law. This is.
I mean, this is the EPA making a administrative law.
Yes, the TCEQ will promulgate rules probably based off of the EPA's regulation. If that's what you're asking.
Yes.
But you do have to comply with the EPA's regulation as well, but there probably will be more to come out in the near future from the TCEQ with how they interpret it. Sometimes they offer guidance on these federal regulations, and then sometimes they impose their own rules as well.
But it's their EPA's interpretation that they can promulgate an administrative law. Basically.
Yes.
I thought that the Supreme Court said that the EPA couldn't do
Yeah,
that.
the Chevron doctrine.
Exactly.
Well, yes, that's in that specific case. And that also occurred when they tried to do it with CO2 emissions on coal-fired power plants, if I recall. Where that wasn't specifically in the law, it was written, and that did also. But until you would have to have specific to this chemical issue. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
so this memo is, we have a few people at our firm who are kind of specializing in the PFAS area for us, and so they put together this memo for boards, which kind of summarizes this new regulation from the EPA and how it's going to affect our mud clients. The things to think about is right now they are requiring public water providers to do testing. And so they're calling that initial monitoring. The deadline to have the initial monitoring finished, all your testing, is April 26, 2027. And if the PFAS levels are above the federal limits, then you will have to remediate. You'll have to try to lower the PFAS levels in your water. And the deadline to do that would be April 26, 2029. So 2 years after the testing deadline. at this point, you know, the Woodlands muds are somewhat unique to where y'all receive treated water from SJRA. So SJRA is going to need to do the testing on your behalf. And today we have as the next steps, our recommendation is that you authorize Eric to work with SJRA to prepare and go and follow the initial monitoring schedule. Because the final deadline is in 2027, but it's not just one day of testing. It depends based on how many customers you serve, how big the plant is and all that. And so they'll need to kind of review the regulation and come up with a schedule of testing so that you finish it by the deadline. And then, you know, to make sure that they're also planning if there do need to be capital improvements or something to reduce the level of PFAS, that has to be done by April 26, 2029. I think there's going to be a lot more to come on all of this, but we did want to summarize the regulation for you and go ahead and get authorization for SJRA to put together a testing schedule.
Does this recommendation for authorization require an amendment or a motion? Excuse me.
So I was gonna ask y'all to take a motion, but Eric pointed out that the agenda item we included said discuss. And so it should have said act on, you know, consider and act on. So we
would act on letting him coordinate with.
You,
Yeah, you can concur to direct me to work with SJ.
Yes, Jane.
yes, that's kind of what we said earlier. You know, we should have wrote down on the agenda item, but either way, we do need authorization for SJR and Eric to get started on putting together the schedule. So you can concur to authorize him to, yes.
So before you go there, just a general question. There's various types of categories. Is each mud treated separately or is it because our water source is the same?
that's right.
Correct, but each mud has a different water ID. So you have to public water SID, PWSID. So it's got its own water ID with the state. So that means that we all have to do the same. Now, realistically, it's the same water. It's coming from the exact same plants. It's distributed, you know, there is different pressure planes, you know, perhaps.
Groundwater might be different.
Generally speaking, even the mix is pretty much the same. Yeah, there are 38 wells. And so, you know, there are different wells in different regions, but it's still mixed with, you know, surface water. So it's theoretically mostly the same water. We've been doing the UCMR testing, which has been in your report. We have about, that is prescribed a schedule. And so we've been following that. 5 of the 10 water districts are complete. There hasn't been any detectable PFAS in the 5 so far. So the other 5 will continue on with their prescribed schedule as mandated by the EPA. So we've already been doing some testing
So,
and we haven't found it.
so that should only be coming from surface water, correct? Never from groundwater?
No, that's not my understanding. It could be both or either.
Unless it's seeping underground and infecting our
We
aquifer.
expect there will be much less, if no PFAS in groundwater.
Because it gets filtered out.
Yeah, interestingly, the ERP facility, their filters that are in that picture right there actually take PFAS out. So
Where is that again? The same?
that picture right there,
There.
that's the filter room. That's what makes the surface water ultra clean. And it takes out a lot of microscopic organisms, including PFAS, is what I was told.
So that's mechanical and chemical filtration.
That's mechanical. I
That's
mean, there's definitely chemical also, but that's the main, that's one of the main, again, then it goes to GAC, granular activated carbon as well to finish off.
But yeah, the charcoal,
Correct.
Charcoal, yeah.
which is ancient. So the point is that once it percolates through and its distance migrates, the PFAS on the subsurface waters should be cleaned up relative to the just surface water. Yeah. So you're doing both mechanical and chemical filtration on that, and that gets it.
Yes, on that.
Well, so basically, we're just sharing the cost between the muds. You're just taking each mud is paying for the testing by paying for San Jacinto River Authority to do this. So we're just sharing the cost.
Yes, yes, the MUDs would be sharing in the cost. of
That's
the-
all we're doing, yeah.
So Eric, I would imagine that the reporting of this eventually would become similar to the reporting we already get as MUD customers.
Yes.
They'll just be added.
Yes,
Yes,
so you'll see in the required reporting, we say that, ongoing compliance monitoring results must be included in later consumer confidence reports.
That's what- yeah, okay. That's-
Yeah, so there's new rules on CCRs as well, so we'll be following that this year. I think you had to submit it out 2 different times. Usually it was just once. I think now it's twice. And so that will, it sounds like that, the PFAS will now be separately labeled on the CCR, whether you have it or not.
Beginning in April 2027, so we still have some time.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
How would we go about making an authorization to allow the general manager to coordinate with SJRA? Is it rather just say, is there any objection to this direction? If there is any, please state the objection. Otherwise, we authorize general manager to coordinate with SJRA as shown in the next steps recommendation from Schwartz, Page, and Harding. Okay, I hear none. We can move on. Yes, sir.
Sorry, one other question. Are we at least going to see some of these results before 27?
So the testing that we've already been doing for all the MUDs, one of the other MUDs had asked if they could see results thus far for theirs because they were already done. And so what I offered to them was that I could package that up and provide that to them. So we can do the same thing for y'all as well on the UCMR stuff. On that stuff, which again, it'll probably be the same testing. It's just a little further out. Certainly whenever those results come about, you'll see them as well.
I mean, because we'll be doing it over the next 2 years
Correct.
on a quarterly basis, so.
But the testing that we've been doing thus far under UCMR does not hit the CCR, the Consumer Confidence Report by law. But it will in 2027. So
Right.
the future testing will actually go on the public report that goes out. The stuff that we've been mandated up till now on the UCMR, we haven't had to report anything. We don't have any, but I'm happy to report that to you is what I'm saying. In the
As
meantime,
a regular quarterly update or whatever,
Sure.
whatever you deem, okay, good.
yeah, once 60 is complete, I can package that up
Yeah.
and provide that.
That'd be good. But you said it's not been an issue right now.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's good.
It hasn't popped in any of the 5 districts that have already done it.
Because people are starting to ask about it, so intellectually for us, to be able to answer people to some degree or extent that it's understudy. And I was glad to see this in the documentation, so it's a good lead.
Yeah, I'm not expecting it to change over the rest of the MUDs that haven't tested yet. It's the same water source, same system.
What's reassuring also that if we did have an issue that the filtration that they have, right, SJ, San Jacinto River Authority will take it out.
Yeah, if it originated from the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it originated from wells, that'd be a different story. But the half of the water that comes to Woodland roughly that goes to that plant would be taken care of.
Very good. So you are authorized, sir. Let's see, where are we? We're down to agenda item 21, the general manager's report. Mr. Peterson?
Are you going back up to 15?
What about 15?
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, pardon me. Thank you. Glad you're here.
Yeah.
Keeping me on track. Agenda item 15. Receive the regular SJRA Woodlands Division report. I don't see anyone from SJRA here today. Based upon what we've had received, were there any questions that we can bring forward to SJRA?
Nothing from me.
I saw they had a major break in the 30-inch on the Research Forest, Grogan's Mill, southwest side. Was that just, was there any, I'm just curious. Was there a
Reflection, correct?
really? That was on the water, right? That was in the water.
Yeah, we've had quite a few breaks over the last 60 minutes. It's been an active holiday
Yeah,
for Pastor and us.
Is that the weather change?
Well,
that's what I was wondering, yeah.
Usually weather and
Contraction and drying out.
moisture, so rain.
Oh, we've had a lot of rain too.
Yeah, it was
When this
oscillation back and
soils
forth.
contract and expand, that's usually when the earth shifts and when we see more breaks. Usually.
They did a good job fixing that. I mean, they were expedient about it and it was a very clean process over there. I go by there every day numerous times.
It was significant. Right?
Yeah, that's a big,
Fast,
that's a
don't you?
big break.
is that a gasketed joint or welded joint? Do you recall?
I don't recall. I think it was, I don't recall.
Regrettable that we don't have representation from SJRA here today.
Were they planning to be here?
I'm unable to comment. So,
Yeah, if you have any comments on their report, send them my way. I'd be happy to share them with them.
and that's kind of an open door, right? If you happen
Of
to
course.
think of something.
Yes.
we go
Yeah.
on with it.
I appreciate the maps that you got me with the previous years. I collect these and I'm gonna try to map them out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, the 3 maps, the 3 years is really good. And then there'll probably be an addendum for the past 6 months. Of course, this will be on it. But this was just, probably due to the dry, wet cycles. And these are buried, what, 10 feet, 8 feet?
They vary. I'd say anywhere from 5 to 15,
Okay, so yeah, right,
depending.
that's really,
Yeah, what's really
Real
strange.
deep.
Sorry? Not
It wasn't real deep.
No, that's correct. This was about 8, I think.
So how's
That'd be about right.
the rain percentage been the last 60 days versus prior years? I mean, it seems like it's significantly more.
Well, if you recall, last year, the summer was really dry for 3 months. And then September, whoosh,
yeah,
and
Yeah.
all kinds of breaks started happening in September and October. This year, the summer was really wet. And then it started to dry out August and September where there was no rain. Breaks started happening again. And then since it's gotten colder, more breaks have happened. Now, don't usually see that with the coldness. Certainly it's more water related, dry and wet. So I don't know if the changing season has anything to do with it more than the rain itself.
Pass on. I was glad to see the phase 1, phase 2 update on the AC testing that we're doing.
Yes.
The inclusion of those maps are excellent to show where it's happening and how. But that was a good update.
Very good. Conclude agenda item 15, go to agenda item 16. Receive and regard status of Bear Branch, Panther Branch, and Research Forest Drive drainage improvement project.
So the stakeholders met in October, November, I think late October. And then the engineer was to run a couple different analysis to run a couple of scenarios on the drainage model. And it looks like they are completing that, and I expect to present that to Mud 67 tomorrow. And then what I would expect is to schedule a stakeholder meeting here in the next couple of weeks. So you'll be hearing from me, your representatives on that. And then we'll put a meeting together so we can hear from the engineer and see what the next steps are.
Very good. Good. Thank you. Okay.
5 seconds.
Yes, sir.
Because you're on.
So, those videos of the floods, the previous floods, were they able to use those?
Yes, they created them, so they have. them in-
They have them, yeah, sometimes though people get rid
No,
of.
no, yeah, no, that's valuable information.
Yeah, because then if they can do the maximum flood, they can come through in there and then show us on like a polygon.
Yeah, the tax day flood was kind of the base. I mean, when you're modeling drainage, water, as Estray can attest with the larger drainage area of Lake Conroe, just depends on where the water falls and
Yeah.
how fast. It doesn't fall evenly at the same, duration and intensity. So they had to kind of pick something, to model after.
Yeah.
So a long multiple day like Harvey with a lot of rain, or those quick burst stuff like 7, 8 inches an hour, type intensities like tax day and Memorial Day. So the tax day flood was the event specifically that they utilized to model. So again, the model's only going to be as good as that. So if there's another storm called the whatever day that's bigger than that, then theoretically, whatever improvements are done are not going to, be able to contend with something different. If that makes sense. It's the game you play with drainage. Mother Nature will always bring you something different.
Yeah, that's where you have the 10 to 15% fudge factor on it to try to account for the unknown like that. Swag as opposed to wag.
Right.
Okay. The long anticipated and much welcomed, consider an act on the draft for water reclamation facility number 1 decision matrix.
Oh, yeah.
General Manager Peterson, would you kick that off, please?
Okay, sure. So down to 2 muds left, or one of the last 2 that need to go through it. So we've got 8 of them complete. Well, actually, one of them's almost complete, the 8th one. And to give you an update, kind of something that's changed since you've seen the updated packet, but the consultant, if you recall, in October, had asked for comments from all the MUD directors. And so I received a handful of comments from various directors, provided those to Corello, the consultant, and they came back and made a lot of revisions to what you had previously seen. They really fine-tuned and simplified the criteria and sub-criteria. So one of the things that they did was they created a definition sheet, which thank you, Bob, for sending that to all the directors a few weeks ago. I'm trying to dig for it so I can. Here we go. It's this sheet. So this didn't exist before. This is a really good tool for the exercise that we need to do, which is it's to give you some insight into what the overall criteria is all about. So that really helps. If you really want to dig into the details of sub-criteria, this has been refined as well. It also has been refined and is a little simpler to follow, but I'd say this is not as important as really this sheet for at least the exercise we need to do. What the other mods have done, which has quite frankly worked very well, was to just go right down the list. A lot of the directors came with theirs filled out and kind of a polling. Okay, number 1, you value life cycle or, for instance, over criteria 2, operation and maintenance.
Mhm.
And everybody kind of informally, I got 1, I got 2, I got, and if there's, and with all 5 here, it's real simple to get 3 out of 5, usually on one or the other. So it's gone pretty organically. If there's been someone that says, well, sometimes a director might say, well, tell me why you're, thinking that, because maybe I'll change my mind, and so there's been some very healthy dialogue on folks' thought process on various, some of these are real easy and they're going to be real obvious to the majority, and some will be, you'll have a little question on. So I'm here to facilitate that and clarify anything or misunderstanding that you might have, or to help you get through it. So that.
Start with
Number
criteria number
1.
criteria.
So criterion 1 would be to, do you value life cycle costs over overall operation and maintenance of the facility?
So we take a show of hands, who wants number 1 and who wants number 2?
I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be formal. It can just, you can spit them out and we can, whatever.
I selected 1.
One.
I'm the only one that selected 2, I guess.
I selected 2 as well.
Yay. I'm
I
not the
had
only
2.
one.
I had 2 until I went to this,
Yeah, I went to that
to
too.
this, and when I saw that it included O&M cost, that pushed me over to 1.
Mhm.
Well, some of these, I could have gone either way.
Exactly.
Well, that's
Back to
I
your
guess
comment.
what I-
Sure.
I could go.
Right. I just felt like life cycle is going, it's it's going to last a long time. It's going to really, to me, it's going to be the operations and maintenance on daily basis that are going to add up in the costs to me, but that's just me.
They said that they did roll in the O&M cost.
Yeah, I saw that too.
That changed.
I was like,
I would
okay.
believe.
Okay,
Yeah, because you could design something that is cheaper, that creates a hefty O&M. You could also design it where it's a little bit more expensive, but the O&M cost is a lot less.
Mhm.
So it could go, so I
Right.
think that's what really kind of the
okay.
question to ask.
Right.
So number one wins,
One, okay.
I guess.
No, but
Yeah,
real one, they're
got
not,
got it.
WON, it was selected.
All right, number one, so life cycle costs or use of existing infrastructure.
One.
One.
3,
3,
Yeah, I was on 3 also.
Ooh, tiebreaker, okay. That's fine.
is it 3?
No, it's more.
It's one.
It's
Yeah.
3, no,
It's
I thought you said 3.
I did.
3,
Yeah.
3, and 3.
3. Yeah,
3 wins.
That was one of those again.
yeah, exactly.
I know.
Thank you for
I
the
agree.
definition.
Yeah, it
And
helped.
I was gonna ask you some things about this. I mean, is this a previous
Yes,
iteration? Okay.
that's a previous
And
iteration.
this was at the trustees meeting? Or was this
Uh,
overall?
It was,
I don't know, it's overall.
This,
Yeah.
is this a previous?
Yeah, this is the current one.
Okay.
Yep, that's so that really talks
Feeds
about
into
the
the-
parent criteria. This breaks down the sub criteria even deeper.
Okay, so this is active.
Correct.
And this is the weighting here?
Correct.
Okay, I understand now.
Yeah, each category is rated the same, but within each category, there's different pieces of it, which really isn't part of this conversation.
I had a little comment in there as to why I chose 3. I said number 3, only if existing infrastructure will deliver a 50-year life cycle.
Or more.
Yeah,
That was.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's kind of a,
Yeah.
so I had to
Mhm.
pick one or the other, and that was it.
Okay, I got 3. All right. Next one, life cycle costs over safety.
4.
4.
4.
Okay.
Come on, Dale.
I was one.
Well, and I'll give you some insight too.
I'm a safety kind of guy though, just so you know.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I don't.
That's your story.
Petroleum.
Yeah, right.
Well, and there were comments that said, well, isn't this thing gonna be safe to begin with? Of
Yes.
course it is.
Yeah.
The
I mean, it's gonna be engineered into it.
OSHA, of course,
Right.
those standards will already be there. There's additional expense measures that you can put in play to even make it even more.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what this speaks to. Do you want to go all out or do you, at least meet the, it's gonna be a safe facility.
Industrially significant, appropriate safety.
Correct.
Right.
By law, you have to. Yeah.
Correct. And then,
Just as a preview for the others, I went safety all the way and whenever asked, because I was more concerned about having a potentially unsafe environment and you couldn't hire anybody.
Yeah,
That
but we
was
don't-
what I
Our
factored
environment's
in.
pretty safe right now, I think, so.
yeah, I was very impressed in the previous tours that we've had, that the commitment to safety and also the maintenance.
Don't want to get, yeah.
No, I agree.
Okay, life cycle versus cost versus constructability and sequencing.
1,
One,
One.
That's one.
Life cycle cost versus community impact.
6.
6.
I was one.
Okay,
So 1.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
3 to 2.
yeah, and that's something that, probably worth looking at too, is when you look at the community impact, it's community impact during construction. That's a key point,
Well, the only.
because there's not gonna be a whole lot of community impact.
I got a little, I hope I have the right description here, because when they kind of threw me a curveball on the very last sentence where they said that the power usage, they were rolling power usage into community impact. I went, that's a big number.
Yeah, I didn't.
that-
either. I didn't see that.
That's, you've seen enough treatment plants. That power usage is a big number and ongoing.
Mhm.
So I don't know how that's community impact.
All right, next item is operations and maintenance versus use of existing infrastructure.
I have 3.
3.
2.
2.
Okay, so it's 2.
2. Okay, operations, maintenance versus safety.
4.
Four.
Two.
We'll just accept it.
You're a tightrope walker. We'll be just safe enough.
I've worked in a
gotta
lot of
go.
factories and I won't go into details.
Bye, Katie. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Operation, let's see, operation and maintenance versus constructability and sequencing.
Two,
5.
Five.
two,
3-2.
two wins,
Okay. Operations and maintenance over community impact.
6.
Two.
2.
So it's all 2. Okay.
Use of existing infrastructure versus safety.
Except for me. Well, you know.
Sorry, sir. We're over here joking.
4-1.
Yeah, use of existing.
This is, here we go.
Sorry, I'm failing the test.
No, so wait a second.
There's no right answer.
Please ask again.
Well, there isn't really.
Number 3, criteria 3 was existing facilities or safety. 4.
4,
It's either 3 or 4.
5.
Plus three.
You got 5.
Use of existing versus safety.
Oh, safety. I thought we were.
Oh, that one, okay.
4.
Yeah, 4.
Can you do it again? I've heard different things. Say again.
4.
4.
4.
3.
Three.
Okay.
At least we're consistent.
Yeah.
That's good.
Use of,
Get her done. Get her done.
use of existing infrastructure versus constructability and sequencing.
3.
5.
5.
I was on.
5.
Okay.
3 5s and 2 3s.
I heard 3 5s.
3 5s and
5.
3 3s.
Okay, 5.
Okay. All right, use of existing infrastructure versus community impact.
I have 3.
3.
3.
3.
Got it.
It's unanimous.
Safety versus constructability and sequencing.
4.
4.
4.
5.
Safety versus community impact.
4.
4.
4.
6. I actually went 6 on
You
that.
gotta stay the now, you just gotta stay the course.
Even if you didn't tail, you have to stay.
Well, actually, I did have 4.
And then he went, you didn't go with your first gut feel.
Well, you know, that's what they say is that when you look at something like this and you read through it, usually your first inference is,
Yeah.
or you
Is correct.
is correct for what you were thinking. Right? If you sit there and waffle back and
You
forth,
overthink it.
you're right, exactly.
Last but not least, constructability and sequencing versus community impact.
I have 6.
6.
5.
5.
5.
5 wins?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let me, I don't know if you were keeping track at home, but let me reread these to y'all, and make sure I got it right. I think I did. I'm just gonna go straight down.
Okay.
1, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 4, 2, 2, 4, 5, 3, 4, 4, 5.
Yes,
Correct. Okay.
I got it.
Thank you for your
Doing this.
MC.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. I didn't get to do that with the other one, so
This is pretty
it
efficient.
was fun.
Yes, we liked it.
Well, we did before.
Yeah, it makes it easy when y'all have some thought into it ahead of time. It really did. I know.
Well, it was maybe why, I know it's why I didn't respond, because when we started with this sheet.
It's
It
overwhelming.
was overwhelming,
Yeah,
yeah.
this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started on it and I thought, wait a
Well,
minute.
what kind of threw me for a loop was the weighting. How you weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shouldn't
And I
have looked
thought,
at that.
yeah, I can do the
It
decimals.
was
Do the rest.
overly complex, wasn't it?
This is-
So do you have like a total, is there any muds left? You said one more mud?
Yeah, one tomorrow, and then one earlier today is going to do it a little differently, and
They don't want to do it this way?
they're gonna give me their individuals, and I'm just gonna have to do the picking or do the
Oh, they
collating.
didn't want to, they wanted, had a secret ballot?
No, they just, I think a couple didn't quite have it finished, and so.
Oh, they didn't, okay.
Yeah, they wanted some extra time, so once I have all of them done, I committed to having these to Corolla by the end of the month.
Mhm.
And once that is complete, I will actually share all of them with the MUDs. We'll probably,
In February.
yeah, I'll probably put in the packets for everybody, just so you can see what everybody did. I mean,
Yeah, we need to keep this.
there's a big chunk that are very similar in their selections. And then there's a couple outliers. You're one of the outliers. There's another outlier that went a different direction on some stuff. But hey, there's no wrong answer. It's what you felt was, you know, important. So that'll be inputted
Answer.
into the matrix software that Corello uses. They're anticipating to have some results and answers to us by April, through after March. Like the initial report, they're trying to get out by March. And hopefully we'll get it down into the mud by it's hopefully April, May.
Mhm.
Excellent. Very good. Agenda item 13. Consider and authorize Garber Engineering's recommendation of award of retail wastewater collection system rehabilitation 2-year and authorize WWA to proceed.
Is this?
Yes, ma'am. That's it.
Because I was not
Yes,
clear
ma'am.
on that.
That's it. Manager Peterson,
Yeah,
please.
so if you recall, for some of the newer directors, across the MUDs didn't really understand where this came from. So I wanted to kind of set it up. A few years ago, Garber was hired, their engineering firm, and they did an analysis of the sanitary sewer system and
Which sewer system?
sanitary sewer system.
Oh, sanitary. I thought you said the center. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Sanitary sewer, yep, the wastewater lines, and identified some issues. Leaking pipes, leaking manholes, things like that. So coming out of that, it would have been, my understanding is it would have been too expensive to lump all of it into one project. And so just because of cost and the amount of money that, you know, certain MUDs had to even throw at their portion of the repairs, because each of the MUDs had some portion of it, some bigger, some, you know, some bigger, some smaller. So it was decided at that point to do this over the course of 3 years. It was called year 1, year 2, year 3, or phase 1, 2, 3, whatever. I reported last year, probably in October-ish, that phase 1 or year 1 construction was complete. While phase 1 construction was being constructed, phase 2 was under design. And so then phase 2 got approved by agencies, and then it was publicly advertised and publicly bid as required. And so this is the result of the advertising and receipt of bids that came in for phase 2 or year 2. This is a budgeted item that you approved in your 2024 budget. So for this year, and you had previously budgeted it in the prior year, but this part didn't get done. So we pushed it to this budget year. And Garver received 2 bids, and ironically, the low bidder was Texas Pride. They happened to be the contractor that did phase 1. So I think their familiarity in working with Garver, ourselves, and just the Woodland system likely probably had an impact on their costs, but I don't get into, I don't know all the details. We don't get into that with them, but we got some great bids, at least within the 2. The engineer's estimate on the project was within $1,000 of where this bid came in. So that's, from an engineering perspective, that is fairly rare on a $1.5 million project to come within under $1,000 difference. So that's pretty awesome. Because it was a contractor that just finished phase 1, it was acceptable contractor. They did good work for us in phase 1. Garver is making the recommendation as required by the TCEQ to give what's called an ROA, recommendation of award, to Texas Pride in the amount of $1,447,008, of which your share is.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, your share is about 70,000.
70,000.
70,970.
Okay,
So
70,970.
yeah, not whole
Not
lot.
bad on 1.8.
Yeah, 1.44, and your share was 70,000.
That's because of that little yellow square is what we have, right?
I mean, there is some correlation.
Mostly
to
mud 7.
versus you know, newer pipe versus older pipe.
Yeah.
That's some of it, but, so, what also,
I think it's that ragamuffin bunch off of Grogan's Mill and Research.
Okay.
Those are the ones that.
Like, It's not mostly mud 7 and we don't, because we have a share, we're the yellow part.
and then, phase 3 is under design now, so, likely will go into next year's budget. I don't think we'll be done and ready to go in this year's budget for phase 3. They'll get rolling construction soon, so I need to authorize or acceptance of the RY. So award the contract to.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Shelley, have you got that both? Thank you.
Mhm.
Further discussion on this matter? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we now come to, since you're on a roll, General Manager Peterson, agenda item 21.
All right, let's do it. A couple other items. Wanted to let everyone know that we are officially running the ditches, I call it. And so we acquired some equipment to be able to run them a little quicker. Kim's worked with our GIS consultant to develop a really cool app for GIS that allows us in the field live to stop at the asset, the pipe or the structure, document size, document the type of material, document condition, take a picture, drop a pin, all those various things that we would want to capture in trying to assess the condition of it, as well as the ditch itself. But the ditches overall are looking, we haven't gone through all of them yet, but the ditches are generally looking pretty good as a whole. As I reported last year and suspected, we're going to likely have some significant issues with some backslip interceptor piping and storm sewer piping coming into the ditches. So generally, back in the day, the last run of pipe that goes from the street into the ditch or the backslip swale into the ditch is CMP, corrugated metal pipe. And after 30 years or so, it just starts disintegrating, rusting out basically. And when that happens, the soil starts just caving in. And so
Cutting it off.
in some cases, it's in some areas, it's bad enough where you can't drive past it. I mean, it's a big hole. So there's some immediate areas, we're kind of ranking them in point of interest, next 5 years and now, kind of thing. And so coming out of building that whole database, we will utilize that information to build kind of a planning program. What do we have budget for? What do we got to do now? What do we have budget for or not in the next 5 years or even out? And then depending on when we look through that and look through budgets in various MUDs, how are we going to get it done? What's the magnitude? How much do we have to do? How much money do we have on hand? Well, is there bonds involved? Is there not? We're just going to have to look at it. Can we do it over the course of a few years, kind of like we did the sanitary? It just depends on, you don't fool with safety, as everybody picks safety in the deal. We can't let some of these, yeah, exactly. So Dale wants us to let all the ditches. No, kidding. Seriously, we'll evaluate all of the data, collate it, figure out who's got what, how much it is. We did a budget for a couple pipe repairs per district this year. That was an addition this year, knowing that it was probably going to be a thing from our experience, what I saw last year. So we can probably do a couple of them. But if you have 10 of them in your MUD, for instance, we don't have a budget for that. So we're gonna have to figure out what that's gonna look like. Can we do a couple of them over the next couple of years, or are we gonna have to find some additional funding? So
How many ditches are there? I mean, all the ditches that we drive across and see all belong to the MUDs or some of a township?
none of them, no. I would say, so the township generally handles the ponds, and some ponds were built on the ditch. So the ditch comes and then it widens into a pond and then a ditch comes out of it. The pond is theirs, the ditch is ours as far as responsibility. And so I would say most of the ditches you mentioned crossing the streets and stuff. There's a couple that are estuaries, Bear and Panther estuary handles those. Those are the ones that kind of look more non-trapezoidal. They look more natural, like they're going through the forest. Just think of it that way. The natural ones we typically aren't dealing with. It's the ones where you pass by and it looks more trapezoidal, you know? That's the ones in general that would be ours. We've utilized the metric of acres, and as we're running through these, once we run through them, I want to convert that to miles, just the way I speak about it. Because I'll tell you, we've 9X3, which is a big ditch that, you know, goes from the flyover all the way down to the branch, which crosses Sawdust all the way down there. That's a long ditch.
Yeah.
There's some big, long ditches, you know, there's a lot of little short ones here and there, but we have significant mileage of ditches, so.
So Eric, with this new software and you're taking pictures, right? Are you able to go back and eventually see the history of the change of the ditch?
We would be able to,
And
sure.
then does it have the predictive capability to say, this is kind of when we're gonna need to do maintenance in the future?
I don't know if there's a predictability piece per se.
Not at this point, but what we have talked about is with our annual evaluations or however often, you know, we were just gonna copy it from year to year and do those updates. That way we can monitor it and compare, so we don't lose that history. And we have talked about that. We're trying to define what that process is gonna be, what those evaluations are gonna look like, and but with the photos, I mean, we're getting down at the pipe, looking up in it, taking a photo back out, and then so we will have that history, also looking around the structure itself, the paving and stuff, so that if any voids start occurring or whatever, we can see all that.
Yeah, the ones that haven't been repaired, the piping, and so a lot of times the pipe, you'll see it come near the flow line of the ditch down the bottom. Well, it's going back up to the top, you know, we call it the berm, top bank. And then there's what's called a backslope interceptor, which is a secondary tiny little concrete structure. Might only be 6 foot wide, but it runs along, up on top of the bank, kind of along parallel with the main ditch. And all that's really doing is capturing surface drainage and or drainage that's falling on the top berm. So it's not washing over the main top bank of the ditch and eroding that. These ditches don't change condition quickly unless they're compromised. So what we see is if something's sloughed in a ditch and it's into the flow line of the ditch, what happens in a big storm, once that ball of soil is there, when water hits it, it bounces. I'm being crude in how this is described, but it comes through, hits that, and starts scouring out the other side. And in some ditches, that'll happen, and then it whips around velocity, and it might mess the other. So some ditches go like that because it's bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, tree, a lot of trees.
Or a tree or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of different. But all in all, most of the ditches look really good from a flowage standpoint, you know, they really do. Some of the older ditches are gonna have, they just slowly silted in. Is it causing flooding? No. There's, interestingly, the areas that maybe have more drainage issues historically that we've talked about, those ditches look better than the other areas in many regards. So, but we're going to be monitoring them all, you know, addressing them all equally, and then figuring out what to do. Well, like I said, we'll probably look at it from an immediate, a watch, and a down the road, you know, kind of thing, and see if we can just plan it out and go from there.
Do you know if you're going to replace the deteriorating corrugated metal pipes with more corrugated metal or changing
No.
material?
Yeah, we changed at least a decade ago, probably, to HDPE, which is plastic pipe. So it doesn't wear down like that.
Not to get off track, but Deputy General Manager Wright, I mean, did you bring this knowledge with you? Or have you done this sort of GPS integration before?
Yes, sir. actually used it at Estuary in the Highlands. We had 66.7 miles of canal system. And so I was there when we were implementing the same kind of thing. It wasn't ditches per se, but it was our canals that went from Lake Houston Pump Station, the East Canal Transfer Pump Station down to Exxon, Chevron, all the industry area. And we needed to evaluate our canal system for intrusions, canal issues, and to get some kind of maintenance program as well in place. And we utilize GIS to do that. So, and the data that we're capturing, we'll be able to obviously, like Eric explained, we'll extract the data. It'll help us organize and prioritize projects and then define what those projects are. We'll have the photos to help put in project sheets and stuff like that. So yes, sir, I did. I did
That's terrific.
kind of the same thing down there.
Major step forward.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, the two biggest issues are gonna be the piping and particularly in the older sections of the Woodlands, you see, so, you know, the ditch came up and then there's a bank and that width varies at the top. But then the trees have just slowly done this over the years. And so in some cases, they're starting to come down the bank where you can't even drive, we can't really get around them. So we got to just keep that pushed back. So
Projects alone, just for the removal of the trees and stuff that are encroaching.
yeah, there'll be some significant tree removal and cleanup. And then that's the thing is once we have it controlled, then we go into a maintenance program where we just keep it back. But the initial lift is probably going to be hefty to get it back to normal. And then the maintenance will be a lot more manageable.
Can't wait for the next hurricane.
No,
No, I'm kidding.
Ideally, somewhere else and not the one should be.
That you need. Yeah, ideally, we have the some better insight on the capital outlay or the capital plan in time to incorporate it into the budget setting time later this year, later in the summer. That's the goal at this point. Just got a lot of work to do between now and then.
One thing that I'd like to ask you about that wasn't in the report was there anything that has occurred with the One Water Task Force? Is this?
Not lately. Spring Creek Drainage, the two projects that came out of it, Spring Creek Drainage project is back up and running. It was on hold for a while as the interlocal agreement, the 7-party agreement expired. And so that was re-upped back in, I think the final signature was probably November-ish. So the consultant half is back up and running with it. We did have a meeting on that in December. It was just a project update meeting. Recall that's the one that contemplates 2 reservoirs in Waller County. So that they should be ready to get a draft report out here in the next few months on that one. And then the other one was Bear Panther, which I reported on earlier. So those are the two main, drainage related discussion points that, were originally talked about in One Water.
You've not had any further discussion with the folks at the township and the others independently?
No, I keep in communication with the representative from the township on just, anything we're working on, anything we need to move forward. I said all along from the beginning that I didn't feel like we needed to have meetings just to have meetings. So if there was an item and, the two main drainage topics that, kind of were on folks' minds were those 2 projects, and both of them are in process. So I've given them basically the same update that I gave you on where those 2 analysis are in process right now. And I didn't see where there was another topic at this point to jump on.
Nothing has been discussed even informally with, we were thinking about retaining a manager for the implementation of the needed efforts on that. And with the township, it's been not a topic of conversation. Okay.
We've spoken about it previously, and I think they had indicated that there wouldn't be funding from their standpoint to participate. Mud One is still interested in going that route. There are a couple other muds that are not interested in
So-
participating.
Let me confirm what I just think I heard you say, that the township said that they would not be in a position to fund the.
Correct, hiring an individual.
I'm sure you're all over it. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Anything else?
Two other quick things. Wanted to give you a heads up that AWBD's Midwinter Conference is going to be here in a couple weeks, 24th and 25th. And then this was a question earlier, but and it's in the trustee meeting. I don't know if you wanted to touch on the GRP appointment, but I was going to give an update on that.
Yeah, go
We're
ahead.
gonna do that now or in the trustees?
Whatever you want.
What do you think? Should we close this one and do it all in the trustees?
Doesn't matter to me.
So long as it's addressed, right?
Yes,
Okay.
right.
All right. Let's close this one and move to the trustees report. Agenda item 22, pages 70 and 71. And the aforementioned question that trustee McAleer had, or that director McAleer had.
Yes, so at the SIM meeting, the trustees voted to appoint me as the appointment seat for the GRP committee. There's not been a meeting yet, and the first meeting will be January 21st. I'll be working with a director from MUD 7, the other candidate, Brad Houck. I'll be working with him to keep him involved in the process behind the scenes. And then what I plan to do is likely start talking about giving any updates on that in the trustee meeting. And so that can be passed down in the trustee report to the MUDs. So I'll start doing that each month as there's updates to be made.
No, so Brad Hope won the vote then.
No,
No,
Oh, so that's different. Okay.
no, you're correct. It is the same
Okay.
topic.
Okay.
yeah, I'll work with him. I had committed to the trustees that to go ahead and work with him
Yeah.
behind the scenes to so that we can create alignment across the trustees as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I viewed that. Obviously I wasn't here, didn't participate in it, but I did review it on video, and I felt it was a difficult vote because of the changes that occurred, the stalemate 5-5, and then a different motion came forward. And personally, I considered it to be a support to the general manager, and would hope that others view it in the same light.
I'll represent us well. I think we all want the same thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Clean water.
Anything else, General Manager Peters?
the other two kind of big items, one was Corello gave an update on process and what they're anticipating on the work that they're been doing. Yep. And the trustees approved adding some additional concrete core testing, destructive and non-destructive testing of concrete walls and structures to assist them in finalizing their condition assessment report and analysis of the 4 options. So a copy of that presentation, we've made, yep, that's that. So you can read through that.
Oh, it's up there. I don't have that.
Yep, that's the whole presentation. And
That's a good
then,
presentation.
and then it was so big, we didn't add it to the packets, but because it's so big.
Thank you. I didn't have that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
What we did add in the packets is also a intermediate midpoint, if you will, update on the consultant doing the AC destructive, non-destructive analysis.
You said what did you just say? I'm sorry.
The HDR.
AC pipe from HDR is in your packet.
Okay.
Now, that's all I have.
Very good. Okay, questions for General Manager Peters? Oh, yeah. John, let's not slight our,
Just a couple key things, make sure I run through here today. So you do have your communications report on page 66. And See at the top there, we're in the first quarter of our current focus area, which is telling the story of our water. So that guides a lot of our communications in the first quarter. I referenced the focus area, which comes from our strategic plan. So that was approved by the Board of Trustees. This is our third iteration. So we implemented the PEC, implemented the first strategic plan in 2022. These are reviewed annually, updated. The primary update this round was really integrating more of infrastructure renewal into those 4 focus areas within the strategic plan. So those 4 focus areas are first quarter, telling our story, second quarter, water quality, third quarter, water conservation, and then the fourth quarter being value. So those are pretty broad categories. It really allows us to be topical and shape them from year to year, month to month as need be. And again, the main update in the strategic plan this round was fully integrating infrastructure renewal into it. So we're in first quarter. What also happens this time of year is your annual MUD report to
Yeah,
to your
ask about that.
constituents. And so this is your report from last year. So what we'll do is we'll use this as a template.
Oh, that, yeah.
Don and I worked directly last year, if I remember correctly,
Yes.
on updating these bullet items on what you accomplished and then what you're looking to accomplish in the coming year. But we want to send this out with the February bill, so the end of February. So we need to have this completed by the 15th of February. So we got a little time.
Okay, so we've got a month, except,
So
you want to work on this with me?
Yeah. I'll help.
yeah, Dale and Bill was
Thank
involved a lot. I think you all were to some degree last year.
Thank you. This,
But
I
Highlighted
had
15th
accomplishments, but I've
February.
forgotten them all already. So I'm just,
I'm sure.
Should we give a background just for the new directors too, on like what this is and what we're doing?
sure.
yeah, so this is a really important communication piece for you to talk to your constituents. They receive it well. So we historically send this out hard copy with the bill and also electronically. And so when we send these out electronically, we can really gauge that mainly by the open rate of the email. Those open rates are coming in north of 70%.
Awesome.
Yeah, folks want to see this information and they read it. And so we began doing this. This is our third round.
Right, we started in 2023,
So yeah.
did it in 2024, and now this is 2025.
Yeah. So
Things you're proud of, things you've done to help your constituents, things that WA's done for the whole lot of different ideas and topics that you could include.
yeah, we're trying to strike that balance of giving them some good information, but not too much. So, 3 or 4 big highlights in your past year's accomplishments and 3 or 4 going forward is about the target. So I guess I'll work with you directly, Donna, and then how you want to gather board input is up to you guys.
We have anything to add or that crosses our mind, we'll just shoot it to Donna
Yes, please.
and or Dale, because Dale's
Yeah,
agreed to assist. Thank you
Mhm.
both very much.
That was the main
Should be
thing.
great.
And then just a quick highlight on infrastructure renewal. So we had the first round of our community working group. They met in early December.
December 2nd.
December 2nd.
Mhm.
And I think that was a real positive start to things. So again, that community working group is meant as a conduit to the community on infrastructure renewal. So representatives from village associations, local government, Howard Hughes, the township, and so on, businesses attend. The intent is for them to bring information forward from the community, thoughts and opinions and questions, and then to return information back out to the community. We have our second round of that scheduled for the
February 5th.
5th.
Mhm.
And we're going to be doing some education in that one. We're talking about funding for these various projects, funding sources, potential sources. And then, a little more background on how we work together, Woodlands Water, the MUDs, and STRA. So just trying to get more background information because you do have a wide scope of knowledge about water infrastructure. Some folks in there are very knowledgeable, some not very knowledgeable at all. So we want to get everybody on the same page, base level of knowledge, so we'll spend some time on that. Again, we met in December. We were intending to meet quarterly. We're actually increasing the frequency of that, at least in the short term. There was some desire to meet again soon, because I think we got off to such a exciting start. Folks wanted to meet again soon and keep the information going, keep the inertia going. So that is what I have. You have the rest of the packet there on our current marketing materials. Any questions?
Terrific.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Let them
Thanks,
know
Stefan.
that Dan, they had a representative from Dan Crenshaw there too, in case everyone wants to know.
Yep, and Host's office is on the list. We're still working on that. We did add the township director. That's been confirmed, Cynthia Heiser. And
There was Brandon Crichton represented there. I can't
Creighton's
remember.
office, we did have somebody from Creighton's office there.
Crichton, okay.
I know you're working
What's the
with,
current adoption rate for Water Smart, and what's that approved of total Woodlands Water customers in my 60? What's the percent that are?
For 60, I'd have to dig that up. I can definitely get it to you. Overall, we're about 72% of all customers.
Oh, right, okay, okay.
And that's climbed from the 20s over the past year.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's great headway.
and some signed up because they pay the bill and they use it to pay the bill through it.
Yeah,
Not all of them have set up the notifications for leak detection,
that's the key.
which that is a big key. And so we continue to push that piece of it that is very valuable. Because we've seen where it's saved people hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
I've been just walking in late December and I'm like, are you running your sprinklers at some, so I was just wondering if they're even.
Deeply, yeah. Yeah, well, getting them signed up, as Eric just said, is step one. Step two is getting them to engage with it consistently. And now is a really key time with freezing weather on the horizon. Getting those leak alerts, especially for folks that are out of town, it's going to be a lifesaver. So we leverage that in our communications.
He's asking a question.
Just one little suggestion, because as you know, I've been manager on the utilities company. We have implemented several of these smart meter systems. And the one problem we run into it, and something I'm not sure if I've seen, you mentioned the leak detection, which is key, is to periodically send to the users in the water bill or someone instructions on how to set those. Because there's the two issues that I've seen they have. One is what volume should I put on the leak detection, or what time period, or which combination of both? Because you may have a certain volume, but not a time frame. And as he mentioned that you run the sprinklers, you're running your sprinklers, the system knows that you run your sprinklers every Wednesday or whatever. Don't you disregard that. And you may have a leak, or the other around and your sprinklers are running and you get a message that you have a leak. So I think it'd probably be a good idea to look into that and how to let the people know how to set it up properly. I know if you call the office, the people here will let you know.
Great idea. Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you.
So just real quick. So yeah, excellent input. The way WaterSmart works is it will automatically detect what it thinks is a leak, which is a continuous usage over 6 hours, I believe, time frame, and it'll ping you.
Well, I
Regardless.
get the message when I run a sprinkler.
That's right.
He says,
Oh.
your water usage is 10 times more than your normal X number of
Yeah.
so forth. And I said, yeah, this Wednesday's my sprinkler.
Well, there's a leak detection, and then there's a high usage one. So they're two different. Because you can set that if your usage is, and you set this X amount of times greater than your normal usage. Again, you set that, it will ping you, and that's what it's doing with your
Yeah.
irrigation. And the leak would be something separate. But I think that, again, that's a really good point to make sure folks know how to go in and adjust all that.
Yeah. That. $10 a day may not be a leak detection.
Don, I know you're working very closely with Eric and the rest of the people within Woodlands Water on the facility here. It's looking terrific. I know it's a work in progress.
Getting there.
You're really making great progress, and
Got some TVs.
it's got some
coming soon.
consistency, and there's a, it's obviously being well attended to, and thank you, Eric, and everybody that's involved within the WWA staff. We're getting there, one step at a time. Good job. I know that we're not going into closed session,
Just
and
over here.
is there any matters for future agenda that you have, Donna? Anything crosses your mind?
I can't think
If
of
you have
anything
anything, just give me a call or just drop it to Eric and we'll
new.
talk about it. Anything should come to your mind?
You pointed at Donna, John updated for the bigger group, the piece, that you're,
CWG,
yeah.
Community Working Group.
That comes in through John's report always then? Okay.
Yeah, that's part of the Public
Mhm.
Education Committee, and John's a
Member of it.
member of that, yeah.
No, I don't have anything else.
You can join if you want.
It's big enough now. I don't think it needs to be there.
Anything, Bill?
No.
Okay, very good. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.